Bam, we're live. Hey, Corey, don't rush. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's my show. We do
Well,
whatever
coming
the
in hot.
fuck I want. Hey, that's a I'm your camera. Your camera might be worse than mine. Your picture quality might be worse than mine. I like that.
Uh-oh.
But it's perfectly okay. It makes me look good. Corey Allen, owner of Batcave CrossFit. God, it's good to hear that that place is still in existence. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Not a lot of gyms can say that. I heard some crazy stat that more than 30% of all restaurants in the state of California have permanently shuttered their doors in the last 2 years. I mean, those numbers are mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's like when they tell you a blue whale, its tongue weighs 2 tons or whatever, or the female blue whale, its vagina is large enough to park a van in, or like you hear some of these like you're like, what? Wait, what? But yep, that's the blue whale for you. And the,
No, no
and
part
as
of that.
remarkable, yeah, and as remarkable as that is gyms that are able to stay open. You are open, right? I mean, you're wearing the shirt. My wife said she talked to you the other day, and you're still open.
Yes, sir.
How long have you had your gym?
It's been 3 years, a little over 3 years now. At least as
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Oh man, for some reason I thought it was longer than that. Holy cow! So you basically opened your gym, had your first year, and then bam.
and then bam, punched in the face, right?
Yeah, that's incredible. If you guys don't know about mine and Corey's relationship, how we first met, you should go back and find the episode on the CrossFit podcast. You will not be disappointed. Corey's story is remarkable, and it's just a testament to hard work, perseverance, and believing in yourself.
Opportunities from great people. So
Right, right. Um, tell me where is your gym? What city? What state?
York, Pennsylvania.
And your gym and your CrossFit gym's been going 3 years, and you're still affiliated.
Yes, sir.
And how many members are hanging on through this whole thing?
We're a little over 50, and I have a few on ramps. So hopefully, once they graduate, uh, increase. We've been holding steady for the last few months. We were
And when
19 members at one point. So
oh shit, okay, that's good news. So
yeah,
and where were you at before this whole I don't know, this so-called pandemic hit?
membership wise,
Yeah.
we were hovering like right around that 60 member mark.
Okay, so you're almost back up to that.
Yeah, but we've changed some rates. So even with the shortages, we're doing a little bit better financially than we were before.
What's the Instagram account of your gym?
It is CrossFit Batcave.
At CrossFit Batcave.
Yes, sir.
So, can you kind of give me your version of what happened, of how your city notifies you? Basically, what I'm asking for is the story of what happened when they start telling you, "Hey, you need to close your business." When the government starts telling you you need to close your business, how did that come across your plate?
Well, here in Pennsylvania, an order came down from our very beautiful governor that all non-essential businesses had to close, and of course, gyms were like at the top of the non-essential list for some reason. Yeah, so we got that information, and initially, probably like most businesses, we wanted to do what was right because we had no information. Um, so yeah, we shut down, and then they switched to like a color scheme for which businesses could open based on like if the state is in a yellow, a red, or a green. Red meaning no one can open except like McDonald's and Walmart and some of the other bigger companies and essential like hospitals, of course. And then yellow, they started to open up the doors to some other things like hair salons and stuff like that. And then the gyms, we had to wait till last. We had to wait in green.
Who do we know who decides that? Who says that Baskin Robbins is essential and CrossFit Batcave is not essential? Do we know who makes that decision?
It's above my pay grade, and I'm still not entirely sure that anyone knows. I know the governor works with maybe the attorney general or someone on their committee. I have no idea, Sevi, who makes
It
these
se-
choices.
it
It's kind of
seems like
crazy.
it is crazy. It seems like it's a worldwide like assessment. Like it's the same story in every country, every state, every city that gyms fall below Baskin Robbins. And the reason why I use Baskin Robbins is because I would drive by Baskin Robbins, every day and it never closed.
Yeah.
And from what I know and everything that I've been told about this supposed pandemic, the only people who are at risk are the people who are chronically or obsessed or addicted to Baskin Robbins. And when I say Baskin Robbins, I mean not necessarily their specific food, but their quality of food, the food that makes up what's in ice cream.
Yes.
So it's nuts. It's it's nuts to me. It, it's like if there was a giant fire, and instead of closing down all the shops that sell fireworks, you close down all the shops that sell fire extinguishers, and
Yes.
and, and you leave the fireworks stores open. It's just bizarre. Not a great metaphor, I know. Not one of my best. It's only 7 a.m. here. I apologize.
Actually, it's fitting.
So you come out of this. Did you ever consider that you were going to lose your business?
Yes.
And what's that look like? Like your landlord's asking for rent, your electricity bill comes in. Can you kind of paint that picture to me, like as it is, what the stress feels like, where it comes from?
Well, it everything I've worked for, everything I've been focused on for the last 6 years of my life since, you know, obviously, and those that know my story, since getting out of prison, the one thing that has kept me going and focused was my dream to, open up a gym. And everything that I've sacrificed, the time, the energy, financially, relationships with family, even my children to some degree, everything that I've been pushing and striving for, and all the people that I've been able to network with and help, to have to think about the possibility that that comes to an end, then I'm stuck with what the hell do I do now? And
But what would cause you to what specifically would cause you to go under? How many kids do you have, by the way?
7,
Yeah, and your youngest
5,
5. So
started kindergarten this
is it like you're do you see? I'm picturing it like this. When I lost my job at CrossFit, you right away look at your savings account, and then you look at your basically your mortgage, your monthly nut, and you're like, okay, how much runway do I have? If my mortgage is $3 a month and I have $30 in the bank, then I know I have 10 months of runway. Is that how you see it? Is that how you think of it too? You're like,
year.
oh shit, they shut down my gym. I lost 30 members, and I only have $8 in the bank, and my rent here is $2. That means I only have 4 months of runway. Is that how you? And then what the fuck am I gonna do? Is that how you start thinking?
Yeah, but in my scenario, I had no runway. Um,
Right.
at that point, my business we were just getting through our first year, so
So
all my
so
eggs were in
base.
the basket. You know what I mean?
So literally, you're month to month. People pay their memberships. You see that money land in your bank, and you buy toilet paper, pay your landlord,
Yes.
and then try. Okay. And how? So what happens? How did you stay open? Who helped you, or who?
So there was and I don't like politics and stuff, but there was a local organization here called Reopen York,
Uh huh.
very conservative organization, which was a little bit awkward for me at first. But they were trying to convince businesses to, um, I shouldn't say defy the governor's orders, but to find a way around it, so to speak.
Okay. Okay.
Some local politicians and groups, people in the community, wanted to help small businesses keep afloat, because we went from, and I don't know how things went out west, but here we went from, hey, it's only going to be a week to maybe another week to maybe 2 weeks to like indefinite. To we have no So then you're sitting there and you're not making any money, and bills are still due. For me, my kids still need things. That doesn't stop. And I had to do something. So I got aligned with this group through some friends on social media. And like I said, it was a little awkward at first because politically, I tend to be in the middle. I don't get in the middle of all that nonsense. Yeah, but I, after meeting with some of those and gentlemen and even other entrepreneurs who had like chosen to stay regardless, I felt I feel like they gave me resources to help me choose to to open up at limited capacity. But I would only do, at the time I was doing one-on-one only. So, and then for any of my members, they could follow programming online, but then I would make times for people to come in. If it obviously was like a married couple or a family, they could all come in together. But I, tried to keep everything separate because we didn't know if, are they going to come kicking in the door and arrest everybody? Like, we had no idea what the consequences were. And here they were trying to sue some businesses for staying open. And obviously,
Crazy,
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
The
So,
government is just people, you guys. That's something we always need to remember. There really is. There's a Taoist saying there are no demons here. You have to realize that at the end of the day, it's just people. So when we refer to the government, those are our brothers and sisters. Those are our brothers and sisters, which makes me think of Ricky Garard, all the people who are being mean to him. What if that was your son? What if your son took steroids? Why are you talking shit about someone on the internet like that? Stop doing that. That's someone's son. Anyway,
it's
sorry,
so
different
easy
subject.
behind the keyboard, Seven.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so you there's a conservative organization, and when you say you had to align with them, what did you have to do? You had to say the Pledge of Allegiance. You had to vote for Donald Trump. You had to put up
No,
an
no.
American
So that,
flag in your gym.
so
They made you grab your ankles.
like
They made you grab your
I
ankles.
choose that. No, but I just started to network with people whose political interests weren't necessarily things that I agreed with, and
Right.
I did some speaking. So, like, they would meet, and I would like share my story and what I was going through. I connected with other entrepreneurs and tried to see if there were ways that we could help each other out, like quid pro quo. And even they helped. I think some of the business owners that were getting sued at the government lost all those suits, by the way, but they helped get attorney and resources for people that needed, some help with with legal resources and such. So yeah, I became partners, I guess, with some of these people, and
Did
some
they
of
ask for anything in return?
no, man. Only to when they had their meetings, if I could please share my story, and if I knew any other entrepreneurs that were struggling and maybe needed some help, would I be willing to to tell them like, hey, there's this group that meets. If there was no exchange of anything. They didn't expect anything other than like, hey, we want to help you guys, be open. And they didn't ask me to vote for anyone or anything because yeah.
How did you find them?
Like I said, social media, man. I had a really cool friend, Kristen, on social media who he does like graphic design work.
Kristen's a dude. Kristen's a dude.
No, it's a lady.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She has like a
Okay.
design company. It does a lot of things. And she's like a political advocate and she does a lot of different things. But she saw me, I think I posted something about, how much it sucked to watch everything I worked for fall apart at the seams. And I was very angry at the time with these decisions. Who's making these choices? Who's telling me that my business, which provides for me and my family and other people to be healthy and combat sickness, and like who's saying that McDonald's or Walmart has a better service than what I'm providing? And why is it? Who's making these choices and decisions? And so she reached out to me and said, hey, there's a group, this meeting. We're trying to help entrepreneurs out. You can come down, check out a meeting. So that's what I did. I just went to, they did like town halls. I went to the town hall and I got to hear some of the other business owners. And it felt good to know like I'm not alone. You know what I mean?
I don't mean this in any malicious way, deceitful way. Like it's not conspiracy theory. and I know it's like just used so often, but I want to give a couple examples I've given before. Really, the people with the most money are in control, and right now, the people with the most money is not even the right word. With the strongest business, with the business that's in the largest demand, we vote with our dollars. And right now, that industry is pharma. People who sell pharmaceutical. Whether it's everything from wheelchairs to pharmaceutical medications, they are in control. And why is that? Because they make the most money. The perfect example is if you show up to a hotel, and I've used this example before, and every person you see, if you give a $20 bill, within 3 hours, they'll all be working for you because you pay them more than their hourly rate that the hotel pays them. And I've seen it done. And the same thing is true, like in Mexico is a great example. The military went in to get the guys who were growing marijuana and cocaine and whatever the shit they were growing out there in the fields, and the cartel has more money than them. So they told the military to go away. Not only do they have more money, they have more military horsepower. But I guarantee you, it wasn't a fight like we have more machine guns than you. It was like, hey, we've paid off your generals. And so when you have someone, you have 15,000 CrossFit gyms who are basically trying to make people better, and you have this pharmaceutical company that's trying to make people better. The pharmaceutical company gets everyone has to go down the pharmaceutical path because they make more money. I mean, it's really that simple. Whoever has the most money is in control. And man, it sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck. It's just in this particular circumstance, it's frustrating. I don't have a problem with like the guy with the most money being in control. Like I like it that Bezos and those guys are going to space. You know, I like Amazon, but in this particular circumstance, it's not good. It's not good. And why is that? Because pharmaceuticals aren't really a solution to this problem. There is no cure for bad diet. There is not, except for changing your diet. And then doing what else Corey offers you is a community to support you through one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life, which is changing your diet. Right?
Right.
Did you lose any clients? Did anyone at your gym die from SARS-CoV-2?
No. No one. Now there have been like extended family or friends. I mean, that's
Right.
happened, but for the most part, we were fortunate. We didn't even have to have any quarantines for contact stuff like we did. Things have been pretty good here. I've heard stories out there, but as far as in my community, in my gym, we I, I guess we dodged the bullet, or we were lucky. I don't know.
Have you had COVID?
No, no, my mom did. My mom, my grandmother, my aunt, um, four of my kids. So a little bit, but not me. I've had to quarantine, I think, 2 times for contact tracing and all that stuff, but my test came back negative. And yeah, I've been around people.
Your four kids had it, but you didn't get it.
Yeah, well, my kids don't live with me. My kids live
Hmm.
out of town, and then my oldest two kids are in college.
Okay.
Yeah,
I had it last week, although my family tells me I can't say that since I tested negative. But my whole family was sick, and my wife tested positive, but I tested negative. But
that's how that works, right?
yeah, it's amazing. And and she lost her taste and her smell. You're a better man than me. I know this upset some of the listeners, but like I didn't do anything. Like I just kept. I mean, I just kept doing my life. I like the same way as if I had a cold. I just still worked out, still went to the gas station, still drove my kids around to the skate park. I was just like, all right, I'll just roll with this. But I'm also a CrossFitter. And at the bottom of our foundation of our pyramid is diet. So I watch my diet very closely. I follow that protocol that Greg Glassman laid out. So, do you know any CrossFit gyms where they had any members die from SARS-CoV-2?
Not here.
Do you know of any anywhere in the world? Have you heard of any?
I haven't heard of anything.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I've heard of one very early on in the first month. There was a gentleman who was an Italian gentleman, overweight, who lived in Belgium, and I guess he's the only one that I know. Isn't that it's fascinating, right? Like
Yeah, it
these
is.
people all train together, spit on each other, breathe on each other, roll around in their sweat together.
High fives and hugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's all and there was a gym in Montana, Crested Butte, where every single person got it.
Wow.
I, I, I think I heard that story. Yeah, I think I spoke to the owner on some affiliate call back when I was employed. Okay, so they help you out, and so do you actually keep your doors open, and do the police ever?
No police ever came. So we just started, more and more. We just started to open things up, and then eventually the state went into green, which meant that we were allowed to open. But at that point, I've been open, I don't know, 2 months or so. I just, yeah, I didn't have another choice. It's either watch everything I worked for die or not. And I feel like that's an easy choice for anybody to make.
So basically, if you didn't open your doors prematurely, you would have gone out of business. So there was no loss in opening prematurely. There was nothing they could do to hurt you. Like, okay, so if the police come and shut me down, all right. Well, the other option is I just shut myself down. So might as well just roll the dice and keep helping people.
Bro, we had 19 members who wouldn't be allowed to come to the gym. They were gracious enough to keep paying their membership fees because they loved the gym so much. That's the power of community. If if that goes, if they don't see an end in sight to not being able to come, and especially as they don't know what's going on with their financial situation, I don't think that people could justify to keep being so gracious to do that. But I felt I had a responsibility, man, to like I set out to pay fitness forward. Fitness, like it's changed my life and saved me in a lot of ways. But for combating sickness, disease, like it's the recipe, man. I'm the doctor, right? CrossFit is the prescription. If I don't do that for people, I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing what I set out to do. And oh, by the way, I can't take care of. So
I feel that way about my kids' jujitsu gym. Like under no circumstance can I lose that place. It's my kids' community. It's like where all their friends are. It's where their teachers are. It's like that place can't go out of business. And I'm sure it sounds like those 19 people feel that way about your business. They're like, holy shit, what would we do? It's like if all of a sudden someone's threatening to like take away your bathroom. No, no, you can't. I need that.
but when this is the best 1 hour of your day, I mean, like people need that, man. For mental health, physical health, like, people need it. Who am
Tell
I
me
to
about.
deny that?
Say that again.
Say, who am I to deny them of that? You know?
Yeah. Tell me about this commitment that you have that you sort of alluded to that you've made for yourself into your group that basically about paying it forward.
Well, that's our mission. Fitness for me, it's about mental health, being able to deal with my mental health, and to be fortunate enough not to need medicines. Not to say that people don't need medications and those things. I've tried them. I've been prescribed them for some. Like I deal with depression and anxiety. So I know how it helps me. I know when I'm not eating right and I'm not working out, I know the person that I am. I'm a shell of myself, and my mental health deteriorates. So I've always wanted to be able to help others in that way, and also with empowering people who felt helpless or people didn't feel great about themselves, because that was me. That's my story, and I'm not gonna get in all that. I mean, people could watch the other episode that because we talked about all those things before, but this has rescued me, and I want to save as many people as I can. That's my mission.
Are any of the guys that you were in prison with, are they out also?
Yes. So and there was a bunch of guys, but the core group of guys that I aligned myself with, they're all out minus one who tragically overdosed on heroin 2 years ago. But all
While he
the other
was in jail, he OD'd in jail.
no, 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 no.
Oh, okay.
He was in jail for crimes associated with addiction, and then he maintained that addiction in prison, and
Wow.
then when he got out, he just got a hold of some bad stuff, and but I hadn't been in contact with him at that point. But some of the other guys I'm still in contact with, they're doing great. I think
I,
Steve just bought a house. He's starting an asphalt company. Um, like Aaron does like power wash, and yeah, so guys are doing pretty well, man. They have that belief in themselves where they didn't have it before, and They're doing well. Contrary to, you can screw up in life and good things happen to you. So,
Did you by any chance see the episode where I interviewed the guys from who are in prison who are doing CrossFit, and the one guy's in there for life? Did you see that?
I did not.
I'll send you a link to it. That was a crazy episode.
I would love
Uh,
to see that, actually.
yeah, I wish I could remember his name. I feel like maybe it's episode 74, 77. But basically, this guy contacted me. I feel horrible for not remembering his name, but he basically said, "Hey, I work with a prison program where these guys do CrossFit in prison, and these guys, this program in this one prison, and a couple of the guys were in there for either life in prison or some crazy amount of time, like 500 years. So it was basically life." And he said they got so good, they made this program so robust and so positive, and it grew so fast in this one prison that this unprecedented thing is happening. And I go, what? He goes, they're going to take these prisoners who started a CrossFit program in one prison and move them to another prison to start another CrossFit program. So they did that. And now they have, I think they're in a handful of prisons now, and they basically have this competition network going between the prisons where they hold competitions and the
Oh,
prisoners
that is
compete.
sweet.
But it was probably one of the most emotional things I've done in the last couple of years interviewing. Oh, that's right. Matt Souza says it's Peter Ducker. Uh, it, um, it was probably one of the most emotional things I ever did was interview guys who are in prison for life because it's a weird conversation, right?
Yes.
Like, hold on, just I just had muted myself while I yelled at my kids. Quiet down, boys. How many kids did you say you have? You have 7?
Yeah.
That's amazing. So a bunch of other guys, and do they know what you're doing? Do the guys that
Yeah.
you're, yeah, and what do
Absolutely.
they say about it?
Man, I mean, they're, just that they're proud. They remain inspired. I'm just glad that, I chose to stick to the path I told them that I would, you know, 7, 8, 10 years ago. So
How did you find CrossFit, Corey? Remind me about that. How it first came across your plate.
in prison, in
But
prison.
but but how? Were you watching TV? Someone told you about it?
So a friend of mine, Steve, who I alluded to earlier, starting an asphalt company, bought a home, loves to ride motorcycles, by the way. Shout out to Steve Kaysen. Steve was doing a workout, got in routine. Steve was doing a workout. That workout was Annie. And I was just watching him, and I had questions. I asked him about the workout, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing this CrossFit stuff." I'm like, "Well, what is CrossFit?" And then he introduced it to me. Chris, who was the guy who overdosed, actually. Chris had some literature. Inside the Box, I think, was by T.J. Murphy, and then I can't remember Rich Fronings's first book. I can't remember the name of that book. Gave me that book, read that stuff, and then we started to write things up on the whiteboards in our unit. And some of the correction officers saw it, and then some of them had been doing CrossFit before, and they started to bring in workouts that we could do body weight stuff. So yeah, and then obviously I wrote the letter to that your wife got, and here we are.
Yeah, crazy. So you wrote a letter to Greg Glassman, basically asking if there's anything he can do, like to help you get more instructional materials,
I
equipment, or
was
whatnot.
I was more we more kind of wrote it just as like, hey, cross, thank you. Like this thing has helped change us. It's inspired us to think that we could do better. And it's funny you mentioned the program. That's what we were trying to do. We wanted to start a program, but none of us had a level one or knew what a level one was. So we just wanted sources to like, how could we get into coaching? How could we start like a pilot program in the state of Ohio at the time to help guys, because it was working for us. And that's what we set out to do. We weren't able to make it happen, but I mean, I've gotten a lot out of that experience.
Yeah, it's crazy. When you say that you see fitness as, I don't know if you use the word cure, but as part of the solution for mental health, helping with mental health, depression. Do you ever even just dose yourself, just like, hey, I don't feel good, I'm gonna go work out for 20 minutes, like
Every day of
literally,
my
like,
life, every
yeah. Can you walk me through what that looks like? So like you've already done one workout in the morning, and now it's 7 o'clock at night, and you don't feel good. Or can you tell me sort of how that goes for you?
And it varies because again,
Right.
it's depression and anxiety. They're two separate entities, but
Wait, say
usually
that again. What are two separate entities?
depression and anxiety, they're
Okay.
not the same. Um,
Okay.
so just with dealing with being anxious, can't calm my thoughts down, my mind is racing, can't sleep, can't focus. That prescription to not think, to know that hey, I'm going to do insert whatever wad you want, whatever I can come up with. I'm going to do this, and then the feeling that I get, the feeling of accomplishment afterwards, helps calm me down. When it comes to depression, that feeling of being defeated or not being myself, that workout helps boost me up. Yeah. Um, Adrenaline rush is something that I need. And without it, you might not hear from me for 4 or 5 days at a time uh, because I've disappeared because that's what it does to me. I never know when it's coming. But I'm a lot better at when I start to feel not me, I know that I need to move.
In my 20s, I think that's why I stopped smoking weed. I used to smoke a ton of weed, and I think it gave me anxiety. Because my is anxiety when you say, is that when your thoughts are so loud like you can't even think yourself? It's like it doesn't
Sometimes,
even matter what your thoughts are, whether they're good or bad. It's just
yeah.
they're so fucking loud and you can't get away from them. You're like, what the hell is going on?
Heart's racing and you feel like you just want to run.
Yeah,
Want to, yeah.
yeah. I know that feeling where you just want to run. That's a shitty feeling. That's a Yeah. That's I've explained that before. You just, yeah, literally, you just want to stop whatever you're doing and just run off in a certain direction. Like almost like the Bob Marley song. You're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run away from yourself.
Yes.
And then they're basically quick fixes. They give you immediate reprieve, huh?
Yes.
So you get on an assault bike and you ride it for 10 minutes, and the depression and anxiety are gone,
I
or
wouldn't say gone,
okay,
but helps.
helps.
Yes, it helps.
And the thing is also is that sometimes the thought comes in during those workouts that kind of does cure it until the next day, right? Like you get you unlock a key, like another thought comes and like neutralizes it, kind of like how you would imagine, like, yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. Do you have a lot of good thoughts when you're working out?
I don't know if you call them good thoughts, depending on what the workout is. Sometimes I'm questioning why the hell am I doing this? But no, but it does help me get to a positive place because I'm doing something for me, and I'm working towards something, which I need goals. I need things to work towards. Without them, I feel lost. So it does help me kind of working out, and I start to think about things that I can improve on, whether it's fatherhood, whether it's as a gym owner or relationship stuff. Like I am able to channel some productivity with my thinking process.
Is your gym gonna survive?
Yeah, man, we're doing. I mean, it could be better. I could be double or triple those members, but we're really focusing on dialing in our systems, place, establishing roles and tasks so I could run a more efficient gym and go from working in my business to working on my business and get that role of being a CEO.
What advice do you have for other people? What's working for you?
This hat, man, Chris Cooper, Two Brain Business. That's what's working for me. And
Okay,
they're not paying me to say this, guys. I pay a
tell
lot
me.
of money for my mentorship, but having a mentorship, having someone that holds me accountable and gives me some knowledge and expertise, done it way better than I have on a much grander scale. See things that changes that I make and implement to see those, and track the metrics and understand the business aspect of owning a gym. Say, hey Sevi, I love to fucking work out. It's awesome. Let's open up a gym and like everybody can sweat. But then what happens behind the scenes? Like
Wait,
understanding leads, lead generation, member retention, tracking metrics, so you can understanding your customer avatar. These are things that I had no idea. I just loved fitness and wanted to help other people. but with Two
Yeah.
Brain, I have a lot more structure. Things are a lot more organized. So now that I have older members who had quit 2 or 3 years ago coming back, and it's like for them, it's like night and day.
Wow, they even see the difference?
Oh my God, yes, yes.
Okay, so let's go back a second. So, um, government's telling you to close down. You go through this pretty hard year or 2 years. When does Chris Cooper and Two Brain Business come into your life? It's so funny that's where you're at, because that's the only reason why I have a podcast, is because when I did the CrossFit. Do you know that story?
No, what Chris did tell me that he knows you though.
Yeah. So it's pretty. So I had Chris Cooper on the CrossFit podcast many years ago. Matt Souza had a gym in Livermore, California that was suffering. He heard the Chris Cooper podcast. He started reading Chris Cooper's books. His business took off and was and now it's a tremendous success. He's got CrossFit everywhere. And he's like you. He lives and breathes CrossFit, and it's like he just wants to make people better. Just make people better. And so his business is exploding. He's super duper inspired. And I hadn't talked to him probably in a year or two, and I hardly knew Matt Souza, the owner of CrossFit Livermore. We just knew each other from social media, and I'd met him a few times at CrossFit events. But basically, he contacts me about 6 months ago, and he says to me, "Hey, Sevan, this is Matt Souza. Why aren't you doing your podcast?" And I said, "Oh, I got fired from CrossFit. I'm just chilling. I'm just raising my kids, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just raising my kids. That's all I really want to do." He goes, "Well, I think you should start your podcast." I'm like, "Well, cool. That's nice of you. Thank you." And then he says, "Well, why don't you start it?" And I just said, "I told you I have kids, and I don't want to waste the time of finding people to interview for my podcast." And he says, "I'll do that for you." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I want to pay it forward to you." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I just told you that my business was failing. You had Chris Cooper on, and it helped my business. So 2 years later, I'm reaching out to you to tell you I want to help you now." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, dude. I don't need any help, but thank you." So I get off the phone, and my wife's like, "Hey, Sevan, you're always preaching that." And I tell my wife the story, and she's like, "Hey, you're always preaching that the universe is is thank you. My wife just told me, conspiring to help you. That's like one of the lines I use. Oh, the universe, I'm the luckiest man alive. I live a charmed life. The universe is conspiring to help me. And I really do believe that, as uncomfortable as it makes me feel. And she said, "Well, here's the universe conspiring to help you, and you're ignoring it." So I call Matt Souza back up, and I go, "Listen, dude, I don't really want to do this, but you will find people and get them on the show for me." He goes, "Yeah, I'll do all that. I'll do all your scheduling. I'll give you one of my employees to do all of that and produce the show for you." I was like, Jesus. So kicking and screaming, he gets me to do the show. And so after we do like 5 or 10 shows, like, and I call him every day now. He probably hates that. And I say, "Hey, I'm going to try to do 500 shows. I'm going to make them the best shows ever. I'm going to make every show a little better than the last show. And I'm going to fucking like try to take over. I'm going to try to like be like, uh, peers with Joe Rogan, right? I'm going to try to fucking like do this." So every day the show gets a little better. And so we're doing it now. But the funny part is it ties back to Chris Cooper. This fucking guy, Chris Cooper, and whenever there's something like it's funny that I just barely scratched the surface. And as soon as you brought up Chris Cooper, your whole energy changed. Not that it was down, but you're pumped.
Man,
But
Two
I had Chris Cooper on the show a few months ago, and I'm still like, "Fuck you, Chris. There's no fucking way. My business is hurting, and I got $5,000 in the bank. There's no way I'm giving you that $5,000 to help me. I'm shutting my doors and like holding on to my money as tight as I can." So I'm so excited to hear now from you. How do you do that? Like, how do you have a business that's struggling? First of all, how did Chris Cooper come on your radar? Tell me that, like, and
like
how do you make that leap? Like, aren't you like, "Fuck you? How can you know better than me?"
I heard him speaking on an interview, and I'm not sure if it was maybe Morning Chalk Up,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
And this is a few years ago, even before I started a gym. This is back when I was like having boot camps out in the park or training people in a one-car garage. So
Okay.
I just started following, Two Brain and looking at all the free tools you can download and listening to the podcast. It came out with Two Brain Radio, and I would listen to that on my long commutes home, back and forth. And I had even made like you could do like the free help call, made the call, and then even in the free call, I made some changes that were beneficial with rate stuff at the time. The person I spoke with can't recall who that was. But so I somehow friended Chris on Facebook, and he's got to be, man. Chris was like, we were messaging back and forth on Facebook because he saw me on your podcast. So
Oh.
Yeah, so he
Wow.
reached
Wow.
out to me and was like, "Hey, how can I help you?" And then he like sent me some of his, and and he never was tried to sell me anything. And obviously, I know now, like this is what you do. You help first. Um, but I never tried to sell me. He was just giving me some information, passing along, and that's when he
He's
told me that he
amazing.
knew you before from HQ or whatever.
Yep.
And one like in about to lose my business last year, I made the call. They let me choose a mentor. I chose Matt Van Choik, and Matt has been phenomenal. Actually, Chris helped me to add nutrition coaching to my business, and Matt's their gym final call. They're doing really well with nutrition, so yeah, they've been helping me implement some of those things in my gym. And without it, man, and I got to give credit to my community and all the people in the community that have supported the gym. But without Two Brain, bro, I had no idea what I was doing. Versus now, I have a lot more guidance and a lot more structure. And that's the thing that people notice most when they come in, even when they myself from some of the other. There's 3 other boxes in this area, and our systems is what makes us stand out to other people. So they come here and it's completely different.
Can you give me an example? Like,
Okay,
did you paint your walls green, or you got a new
no, man,
doormat,
none of
or
the
you
aesthetic stuff.
you kiss on
Actually,
both sides of the cheek now? You adopted the Italian way.
so understanding that when people come in, they have a problem, and then to offer people solutions to their problems, right? Like the prescription is some form of fitness and nutrition, but being able to have a system in place for doing our no sweat intros and consultations and what happens before, during, after those interviews. How do we reach out to those people? How do we, kind of get them on board in what we're doing? I think, and to the member would probably tell you that to make sure that they're on track for their goals, whether it be with programming or tracking their biometrics and stuff. And I think some of the other gyms are still kind of in that garage gym mentality of just come in and work out, but we know that they need more. People need more. So having systems in, and then making sure that we are constantly in contact with our members, myself and my staff. We're always contacting. I'm always asking, can we help you more? What can we do to help you, reach whatever your goals are? Keeping track of all those things for them. Doing things as simple as gyms don't even sit down with people and say, hey Jim, you joined the gym, 3 months ago. You said that you wanted to lose 15 pounds. How's that going for you? Something as simple as that, letting people know you care. And if they haven't, then like prescribing them some things to help them change and fix it. Like, so holding people accountable a little bit more than just, hey, come to the gym, show up to class. Well, what happens when someone hasn't been showing the class? Do you have someone who's reaching out to them, making sure that they're checking in? And I'm not going to, but I just think focusing more on the accountability piece, and instead of trying to do 1,001 things great, focus on what we really do well and deliver that to people in a system or a process that.
Your customers are happier, your clients are happier, they're getting more out of the gym. Are you happy, or do you like it, or is it like pulling teeth? Have you lost any of like the freedom or creativity, or do you feel fake at all doing any of this? Like, do you feel like it's insincere? Like, how does it affect you?
And then this morning, I'm looking around at what used to be one of our lowest numbers as far as classes, our 5:45 a.m. class, which is now one of our bigger, more consistent classes. And I'm looking at people smiling and laughing and, pushing it to the limits. We just finished 2 weeks of assessments and testing. People are doing things that they never thought that they could imagine or doing. They're telling us that, like, it's and it things couldn't what they could be better. Actually, you can always make more money, but from a if my goal or my mission is to pay fitness forward, like the feedback that I'm getting from my members, clients, and even my staff is that that is what we're doing, and people appreciate it. All day long, people want to hug me and high five me or message me and just thank me for allowing them to come to the gym, even though they pay to be here. then they appreciate it so much more than they ever have before. And I don't know if any of that has to do with, being shut down and not being able to attend gyms or any of that. But I think with the way that we handle things, that we actually are centered around helping people. I think people appreciate that more. And then it makes me feel good about what I'm doing because I'm not some sketchy car salesman trying to trick you into purchasing something. I'm actually trying to help people become the best version of themselves because CrossFit is the thing that's helped me do that. So I'm paying it forward. Pretty cool, man.
It's crazy cool. It's crazy cool. Is there a whole mixture of people? Are there are there
We
people
have
who
a
are
little
like,
bit of everybody in here.
so you have the person who's terrified. You have the person who's like, fuck it, I don't care. I'll drink a gallon of COVID. You got the person who's like wearing the Biden shirt. You got the person who's like, fuck Biden. You got the whole gambit in there.
A little bit of everybody, but none of that matters when you walk in the.
Right.
None of that matters
And why doesn't it matter when you walk in the door?
because we're all here to improve ourselves. Personal shit aside,
Isn't
like
that
no
amazing?
one cares where you come from, where you grew up. Look at me, man. I'm the leader of the gym. I'm a convicted felon, right? Nobody gives a shit. People are here to work. People are here because they're stressed out or they're not happy with where they are, what they look like, or how they feel. They want to be better. Everybody has that in common, no matter what their individual goals are. Susie wants to lose 10 pounds because she's getting married next week. John wants to be able to get up and down the stairs with his grandkids. Whatever the goal, whatever the one common is that we all want to be better version of ourselves. And we are very adamant and zero tolerance for bringing any of that divisiveness into our facility.
And
Zero tolerance. I
do you
will give
tell
you
them?
your money back.
Do you tell people that, like, yo, chill
And I
out with
do
that?
it when people sign up and join my gym.
Hmm.
That's one of the very. We are really big on culture here. If if any type of negative energy, I don't mind giving you your money back, refunding you, because I like trying to create a space where everyone feels comfortable and is just trying to work on themselves. What you do when you walk out of the gym, I don't care. But when you're here, just be ready to work. Know who you're sweating next to, and understand that everyone's at a different point in their fitness. No judgments. And I know that's really generic for every gym owner says like no judgment, but we try. And we've had one or two incidents where people were not a great fit, and that's something I learned from Two Brain firing a client. If people don't fit culture, I can't make them fit, and at that point, it's not worth my time, my money, or even their time because maybe there's another gym that would suit them better, and I don't mind telling that to people.
I'm working on some of that stuff myself. It's funny. It's a little bit different. You're trying to make a place that where the primary focus is make people's lives better, right? The best hour of their day, regardless of what their beliefs are, make them better. And I think that that's awesome. Um, I go to a lot of kids events like every single day, like one, two, three, four, five events, and so there's parents there from all different backgrounds, right? And I met my kids' tennis practice the other day, and one of the fathers walks up to me, and I've seen him there for the last 3 or 4 months, right? And he always sits away from the other parents. So do I, but he sits away from the other parents. He's always got a mask on, and his kid always has a mask on, and my kid never has a mask on. This is an outdoor tennis practice, right? So he comes over to me, and my kid really likes his kid. My kid's 6, and his son is 10, and his kid's the best kid in the class, like really, really good. And so he comes over to me and tells me, "Oh, my son really likes your son." I'm like, "Yeah, my son really likes your son. Whenever your son's around, my son gets a little swagger, right? Because your son's so good." So he's like, if they're on the same team together, my son gets all puffy chested, and we start laughing. And he goes, "Yeah, well, we took a year off from tennis." And I said, "Why'd you take a year off from tennis?" And he said, "Because I didn't like the protocol that was put in place to stop the spread of COVID here at the tennis academy." And I'm thinking in my brain, well, that's the reason why I brought my kid to tennis, because they didn't make the kids wear masks. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted, right? But I don't say that to him. And I was so proud of myself, Corey, because normally I'd be like, "What the fuck you talking about? Kids shouldn't be wearing masks." I would have just fucking dug in. But I'm like, you know what? Like our kids, like this is my kids. This is the dad of my kid's buddy. And like, I don't need to shove it down his throat. I just need to. I was like, "Oh, okay, fantastic." He's also, and so he's telling me we took a year off, and and I bit my tongue, and I felt like eventually I fucked that up because like 10 minutes later he's like, "Hey, where do your kids go to school?" I'm like, "My kids don't go to school," and he goes, "Why not?" I go, "Because I would never put a fucking mask on my kid." But I tried. Before then, I tried. I tried not to say anything. But I see. It's taken me a long time to get to that point because I have such strong opinions about what's being done. But I wonder if it speaks to the fact of what you're doing is sort of transcends all of that. Like if we're not all healthy, we can't even have the luxury of fighting with each other's personal beliefs,
Absolutely not.
right? So it I, would I rather get along with this guy and have a guy to talk to, or would I rather that I fight with him and make him feel bad and we go and for the next 5 years we're at kids events together but we don't talk to each other? That just sounds not fun. It's like fighting with your neighbor. It's like if your neighbor's dog always shits on your lawn and you have to at one point like decide like is it worth just not being friends with my neighbor? I don't think so. I think it's better to get along and like try to find a way around it. Like be like maybe just like I picked up your dog's shit off my lawn again today. Love you. Have a great day. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
find a way. It's not my strong suit, brother. It's not my strong suit. Does Chris? What do you? That is amazing. I know Chris is extremely busy. He has thousands of gyms that his program is mentoring. I think he is the largest. Chris Cooper, Two Brain Business, is the largest consulting service of gyms in the world. By the
Yes.
way, I don't think he's. I think that guy's advice could work for any business. You
Yes.
could have a dog groomer, a restaurant. What do you think?
I do. I do. Those principles I think can be applied to anything.
How is he so smart? How does he know all that? And
Chris
his
will
demeanor. He's got crazy demeanor, right?
This is tried and failed, man. He's been through some things, and he's someone who always sought mentorship to improve. And now he has the ability to help other guys and girls become mentors and mentor gyms. Man, he's Chris is sticking to his mission, and it's working.
Would you say this is a fair statement that CrossFit success is really just like is all based on the fact is that it works?
Yes,
That's like the cornerstone of its or even greater, the foundation of its success is that it works.
it works.
So you get a group of people together, you get them like-minded in their diet and their movement, and you will start
They
seeing
see
tremendous
results,
results.
and then people close to them see results. It grows, man. It grows that way
And so that's what happened to Chris too. That's why Chris is so successful.
because his business works. Yes.
So if he wasn't truly helping gyms, he'd be gone by now.
Yes. And I know there's a lot of gurus and stuff out there. All those people contact me all the time. Like, no, I'm a two brain gym man. I'm good, man. I don't need your free marketing tips. I'm good. um, but Chris, like I said, even for him to reach out to me, like that meant a lot to me. And even now, I can guarantee you, if I message him on Messenger, he might not respond right away, but within a couple of days, if I have a question, he'll still answer it, even though I have a mentor, and he'll at will. But Chris he's that kind of guy that he truly does want to help people. So that's why he actually wants to help you.
Do you have, what do you have goals beyond this gym? Like what are your hopes for the gym?
So obviously, I want the gym to grow to a place where it doesn't need me to be here every day, and then I'd like to open up additional another location or even more. I think every gym owner probably, but I feel like this is a stepping stone in what I really want to do, which is to speak to troubled youth or men and women who've been incarcerated from addiction and to tell them that their circumstances can be changed through hard work and dedication. And that while 99% of people won't believe in you, the 1% that do over, you have to you have to take advantage of every opportunity you're given and just work harder than the next person to you. I know that for a long time, I believed that because I was a convicted felon, I would never find a job. People would hate me. Society would shun me. And to be at a place now where I can say, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, it just isn't true. All it took was for somebody to believe in me, and I never disappointed that individual. And every opportunity that I've been given, I've taken fully advantage of it. I'm fortunate enough to now be in a network of people that are willing to help if I need it. But then in I return that, I pay it forward. So
Do you think that you can flip the script on that, or maybe you have, or eventually that happens, instead of being like, fuck, I'm a convicted felon, no one's going to hire me, no one's going to work with me, I'm never going to be successful, to where like you actually start to use that as fuel, like it's part of your story. It's like, look, if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's
ha- have
like
you ever
almost like you
heard
get
of
it, almost like you get a chip on your shoulder, like a
have
good
you
one,
ever,
a good chip.
have you ever heard of CT Fletcher?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yes sir.
So what he does motivational wise, like I love listening to CT Fletcher and I love his story. And I would like to be able to make a similar impact to people like me that have similar struggles like me. Because there's a lot of guys and girls that don't believe in themselves based on making choices and not understanding that you can situation. So man, I really hope that the day comes where I can go out and I can speak to people and make an impact to have people take a step in a different direction and to motivate and inspire them to just want to be better. Doesn't have to be about fitness. Obviously, I'm going to talk about fitness, but it just to believe that no matter what your circumstances are, as fucked up as it might be, you can do better. Like a lot of people don't really believe that. I certainly never did. So.
John George has a question from the comments since we're live. John, I'll ask the questions. Keep your questions to yourself, please. Okay, so the question is, who believed in him? What did that look like? That's a great question, John.
So
Is there
there,
anyone specifically who believed in you?
yes.
That
So there's a bunch of people, but I'll start from like obviously my mom and my grandmother and my brother. They've always believed in me, you know. But that's
your mom always believed in you?
absolutely my mother never. She always hoped someday you're gonna turn it around. You know what I mean? Mom will never give up on you, man. And
Yeah,
no
it's
matter how,
weird, right?
yeah, mom's even my mom's had some struggles and battles with addiction and stuff, and but she's certainly never given up on me. She's
My
always
mom never gave up on me either. It's crazy.
yeah. But for me, I think in prison, this Sergeant Daniel Moore on my housing unit, gave me an opportunity to hold fitness programs in our housing unit to help other people. And that's what inspired me to want to become a coach or a trainer because I realized that I had a gift for leadership or people wanting to listen to me or follow me because I led by example. I can start there, but I can also start with a letter that I wrote that ended up in the hands of your wife, who I give a lot of credit to, and her reading this and actually believing in what I was doing and wanting to help me. And even when things didn't seem like they would allow her to because of prison stuff, even getting out, the doors that that's opened up, and by extension, you and people like Gary Roberts, having those types of people was like it was crucial for me because I couldn't let you guys down, right? Like people have invested time and energy and just believing that I could do something when I didn't believe I could do it myself. And how could you
Who?
let those people down?
Uh, one statement, one question. The statement is this, by the way. When I worked at CrossFit, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, every single person there was like a diehard CrossFit. It's a CrossFitter. It's not anything like it is now. Nothing. I mean, like we were all fucking fanatics. All 100, 200, 300 of us, however many of us worked there. Everyone from like the people you know, like Keeber and Marsden, to the people you don't know. Like everyone was like CrossFit had saved their life, and there was a very strong mission statement at CrossFit and a very strong vision for all the shortcomings that people might think that Greg Glassman has. There was never a shortage of vision, and the vision was very fucking clear. And a piece of that vision was to always do the right thing for the right people for the right reasons. He would pound that into us. And so my wife was the executive assistant to Greg Glassman, and people would write in handwritten letters. And Corey wrote a handwritten letter into Greg. And my wife, although her job literally was 24/7, 365 for years, I know most people can't even imagine that. They might think it's hyperbole, but on the days that my wife gave birth to my twins and my first son, she still also worked, and I mean worked. And then she worked the days after she gave birth too. Like we work, like we didn't compartmentalize our lives when you took this shit. A letter showed up to Greg, and my wife just opened. It wasn't. My wife could have easily have just thrown that shit away. Easily. There was no pressure on her to answer that shit. She had other important shit to do for Greg. But Greg always told us to do the right thing. And my wife fucking sat down. I go, "What are you doing?" She's all, "I'm writing Corey back." I'm all, "Who's Corey?" So, and there were a couple dudes from prison she was writing to. And she would be like, "Oh, they won't let me send the whole L1 book in, so I have to send in one page at a time, or it bounced back, and I'm going to try to send it again this way." And there was all, and then when Corey got out, my wife still kept in contact with him. And you don't get paid extra for this shit. No one's being your boss. No one's telling. My wife could have been like, "Fuck this," instead of writing Corey, I'm going to go get my nails done. Like, easily. So you see that this is like all, and my wife's not anyone special. Anyone would have done this. Anyone who worked at CrossFit Inc. would have done this.
I
That's
beg to
just what we
differ.
did.
Haley's very special to me anyway.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. You're
She's just
lucky,
she's
Sevan.
she's just a baby factory. She stopped at 3. I want her to give me 3 little daughters now, so I need 6.
You'll pay for this later, bro.
I can see her in the kitchen right now. She's doing the boys' schoolwork with them right now. She's trying to ignore me. So, but tell me about this guard. This guy, did he tell me
Lady,
what was his name again?
her name was
She
Danielle. Yeah.
Danielle. And what did she do, and did she have to do it? You're saying basically she enabled you to start the program there?
She
What's
was
that
the
look like?
she was the liaison who we approached her, my friends and I, we approached her with an idea, and she took it up to the prison administration, assistant warden, you have to like climb the ladder and everything, but they allowed it. And then there was a point where we were even getting referrals from the prison medical where they would refer guys take our program. Uh, we're having some chronic health issues, and they come in and let us do it, man. And that's with no training or coaching or no knowledge or anything.
Could Danielle have said, "Hey Corey, shut the fuck up and get in your cell"?
I think it was more of yes. I think it was probably more
So
of a
that was an option to her.
I
She
wasn't in
didn't
her.
have to help you.
Absolutely not. No. Her job is to make sure that the unit's going great, everybody's secure. She went above and beyond. And there was also another Sergeant Cruz, who played a big role in what we did. Who I'm still friends with him today. Actually, I
No
keep telling.
shit.
Yeah, he moved down to Key West. I keep telling him I'm going to come down to go visit him and hang out and work out with him. But yeah, he was
Is
really
is that
interesting.
weird?
It was weird because like you're not supposed to talk to the cops,
Right.
you know. And I got a lot of flack from inmates for my relationships with staff, but I didn't care. I mean, I'm trying to better myself. Like I'm not, ratting people out or getting in. I don't get any of that stuff. I mind my own business, but I knew that I never wanted to go back again.
Well, what's this guy doing in Florida? Is he still a correctional officer?
No, hell no. He got out of corrections. He
That
has
can't be a healthy job, right? That can't be a good job for anyone, right?
mentally, physically, like it's just a lot. And they didn't appreciate him, man. He was a great guy, and like they just really didn't appreciate him. But he does HVAC stuff down there in Florida.
Yeah. Guarding other humans who are in prison can't be healthy for you. Since we all are just mirrors here, mirroring each other, being in an environment where you're lording over other human beings cannot be healthy for your soul. It's one of the reasons why I don't believe in the death penalty. I mean, the first part is I think we kill the wrong people sometimes, and if you even do that once, you can't have the death penalty. You can't accidentally kill people. And the second thing is every time you kill someone, you create a murderer.
Yeah,
That's the problem with going to war too.
yeah.
We send these boys overseas, and then they come back murderers. Of course, I mean, murderers, killers, and that's fucked up. That is fucked up. That's tough, man. That is tough. And no, even if you're a murderer in the good. Let's say everyone you killed deserved it. You did the right thing. You still created another murderer, and now you got him in your backyard. Now they live. They're your neighbor. I mean, I'm not surprised at all. Like, these stories you hear, these Marines or these guys who do this bad shit. Like, I'm not surprised we turned them into that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in just another Sevan tangent. So you're in prison. You meet some good guards, and they help facilitate something that you were. If they wouldn't have done that, would you have still pursued CrossFit anyway? Would you have found a way,
I
or do you
think,
think that was pivotal?
no, I think that certainly helped with me wanting to become a coach and get into coaching and then
Hmm.
eventually owning a gym. But I think I knew the very first WOD I ever did, when I get out, I'm going to join a box, the first thing going. I think it's helped with, like, having that program and keeping me focused and on track. But I would have been maybe I'm just going to a gym and I'm just a member somewhere at that point.
Do you know any other felons who own CrossFit gyms? Ex felons? What do you call you? How do I label you? How do I judge you, Corey?
I mean, my name's Corey. Um, I don't like all the name tags and stuff. If you want to
All
say
right.
convicted felon or whatever, fine. I have much better accolades than that.
Do you know of
Uh,
anyone who's traveled your path who also owns a gym who's ended up in the same spot?
I don't know of anyone personally. I would be willing to bet that there's probably quite a few guys and girls that have been through some shit. But I don't know of anyone personally.
Uh, it's interesting. You have to guess. Well, in the early days, one of the things about CrossFit, and still to this day, it was huge with the first responder community because everyone knew that general physical preparedness (GPP) was essential to surviving your job. Right? You didn't want to die because you weren't in shape, and CrossFit was the best way to get in shape.
Right.
And but on the other hand, you have to know that in mental health, it's the same way, right? Like if you're in prison, there's probably nothing better than you could do than do CrossFit. I remember interviewing Dutch Lowy and I in 2008. He was a CrossFit Games competitor, 2007, I can't remember. And I asked him, I said, "Why do you do CrossFit?" And he says, "Well, when you don't know what you want to do with your life, there's nothing better to do than CrossFit because when whatever you want to do with your life pops up, you'll be fully ready for it."
Yes,
And
100%
that
agree with that.
and that's what you were doing. Did you ever during this shutdown for the last 2 years? Did you ever think that, oh shit, this is gonna be like, what was the lowest you got? Were you ever like, holy shit, this is gonna be over? Not only am I never gonna open a second gym, I'm gonna lose this gym, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna have to get a job with the city, like being a garbage collector or become a cop or.
I met with my coaches, and this is like when Zoom was sexy.
Mhm.
Um,
For
and
that for those 3 seconds.
yes, for those. Now, fuck Zoom.
Fuck Zoom.
Yeah, I want to talk in here,
Yeah.
shake the head, pass some germs around, and you know. But yeah, I remember talking to my staff, who all are clients of mine 4 or 5 years ago when I first started out. They've been with me through my entire journey. When I was just a personal trainer at a big box gym, to starting my boot camps, to to being affiliates. They all became L1 coaches because they believed in me, and I had to sit and talk to these people and tell them that I didn't think that we were going to come out on the side of financially. We just couldn't afford to pay any bills, and I couldn't keep going without a wage and living, without money. So I thought that, hey, I'm probably gonna, if I start selling equipment, I told them they would be the first people that I would contact for that.
And you didn't have to do that. You never made it there to that point.
Never made it there. Probably right after that moment, things, people just wanted to support small businesses, man. There's like a movement in the community for a while. It's since people are kind of fighting about everything now, but for a while it was a lot of people wanted to help support other small businesses, and I think I got a little bit of that, and it certainly helped me out.
Yeah, I know that mode you're talking about. Like you're freaking out. I've had the talk with my wife. Hey, what would we do if X, Y, and Z happened? Are you okay if we move into a van? And my wife's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, good. Like that's all I needed to hear. You know what I mean? Like,
Reassurance.
oh yeah, yeah. She's cool with it. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, and maybe I was never even close to that. You know, but if in your head you are, you know, it, sometimes you need a plan B. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
know it's good. I know it's important to keep your eye on the target, but sometimes you need a plan B just to keep your eye on the target.
even now, Sevy, I can't tell you what a plan B looks like, and I know
Yeah.
that's probably not
No.
an intelligent thing to say.
No, I hear you.
I believe so much in what I do that I don't see me doing anything else other than building what I have into something even greater, and then going out there and helping reach other people to teach them that they can believe in themselves outside of fitness.
Do you get reinsurance for that belief every day? That's awesome, by the way.
I do, man. My daughter, who will be going to school, she's going to take her test. She's graduating college of criminology, but she's moving on going to law school. And my kid tells me all the time how proud she is of me and the transformation that I've made in my life. She now looks up to me and is happy to tell people about her dad that owns the CrossFit gym in little tiny York, PA, which might not seem like much because I'm certainly not rich and famous. But to have that from her and all my kids to some degree, but it's the older ones who kind of know a lot more and they're more worldly and they appreciate it, even though I will always feel guilty about all the time I spend away from them. But they appreciate the version that I am right now. And that validates everything I've ever done.
Right. And transformation keeps people's hope alive, right? They see
Yeah.
someone who's transformed and then all of a sudden you're the hope.
So real quick, Sevi, I
Please.
used to be shy of talking about my past. I like
Hmm.
carry this heavy weight around. Like, and some people would know little things. Like the first time I ever publicly really talked about my stuff was like your show. And then all these people from all over the place. I don't know how I have friends in fucking Australia right now, but there's, and all over Canada and different countries and people that I've met like in the CrossFit community that somehow people like, hey man, I love your story. I think that's great. People like a good comeback story, especially if you're genuine and you really are trying to better yourself and other people. And I get that a lot, not only from my members and clients, people here, but people from all over the place that I've never met before or wouldn't have met. So I'm
I'm
fortunate.
looking up that's awesome. I'm looking up Corey Allen CrossFit podcast. I'm gonna see like if what pops up. Just Sevan Podcast 157. That's what we're doing now. How do I the Sevan Podcast? Oh, it wasn't the CrossFit podcast that it was on.
No, it was
It was this podcast.
yeah, it was this one.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like
Man, my brain is mush. You were on episode 11 of this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
So that's when I first, so that's interesting. That's when I first started to launch this podcast, and then I gave up before I ran into Matt Souza, and Matt Souza stepped on my dick a little bit, kicked me in the ass. He's like, hey, get this thing rolling, buddy. Wow, that is awesome. Okay. So episode 11 of the Sevan podcast, if you want to hear, damn, I should have said that right in the beginning. Oh, fuck this all up.
Oh, good. Bro.
It's my show. I'll mess it up if I want to.
It's your
Um,
party.
and so I guess that circles back to my question again. So something that used to maybe be an insecurity is now actually a tool.
Yes,
It,
it's a strength. It's a
it's
strength
a
because I
strength.
think people look at me and they say I can overcome whatever the thing is that's been holding me back.
Why am I feeling sorry for myself? Corey went through this.
It makes it really easy for me to sit across the table from someone who has been making every excuse of why they can't get to a gym and work out. That conversation is really easy now.
There's a great story that Greg used to tell. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. What's the guy? He owns a CrossFit gym. He has no arms and no legs.
Oh God.
What's his name? Kyle. Kyle Maynard. Kyle Maynard. So Greg. So Kyle Maynard went and Greg went to, I think it was a Wounded Warriors meeting or something, and he said Kyle Maynard, got up on stage and he looks out across this room just packed full of soldiers who like have lost their arms and their legs and like their faces are burned. He said it was just fucking nuts, just a mess, right? Just all the horrors of war. And he looks out over the crowd and he goes, "Man, I feel sorry for you guys." And he goes, "I was born like this. You guys actually lost your arms and legs. At least I never knew what it was like to have them." And it's like, holy shit, like what a powerful way to grab those dudes' attention. But not everyone can say that.
Right.
But the guy with no arms and no legs can say that, like,
Yeah.
straight to you. Damn, I feel sorry for you. And these guys still have 2 arms and 1 leg. And this is from a guy who has no, and it's turning your, what did you call turning your weakness into a strength?
Yes.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. I love it. Well, I appreciate your I appreciate your time. I'm so stoked that we circled back after 146 episodes. Um, this is all. This is great. I'm glad that you and Chris Cooper have hooked up. I just love the synergy of the world. Just stoked. I'm stoked. I know you. Wow! All of a sudden now your camera looks good. You look good. This is the first time I've been able to like to see your face in a hour and 16 minutes.
Yours is up on my end too, Seven.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Magic. That Wi-Fi kicked in there.
Let me read a couple comments here before we get off. The fact that you were a felon and spent time in prison could be the very reason you are such a good leader. You've seen the lows, so you probably don't sweat the small stuff. Keep rocking it.
Thank you.
Colin Lawrence says, all of us know so many people that need CrossFit, but hardly any of us ever get them to an affiliate. Here, we'll leave you with this question, Corey, to answer this final question. Corey Pulido says, "Where is the gap? Why do you think there aren't more stories like CT Fletcher and yourself?" I don't really know CT Fletcher's story. What's his story?
So CT was, I guess, like powerlifting, bodybuilding kind of. So he's had like a couple of heart attacks and then a transplant, and then every time he's had one of these surgeries, he has to like come back. And there's like an episode where the first time he's going for a run and he's wearing like a stuff because the doctors tell him he shouldn't be alive. Basically, he shouldn't even have lived. And then he goes to try to run and falls flat on his face. He's got like blood and all. Like so he goes around and he kind of travels and goes to different places and speaks. But then he also has like his iron, like their gym. He brings a lot of guys in that like bodybuilder powerlifting world, and he does stuff. He has like guests on the show stuff. Like just a really good motivational guy. And like when you hear someone who's had a couple heart transplant and the doctors told him he'd probably be dead. And
Wait a
here
sec.
he,
When you say heart transplant, he has someone else's heart in him?
yes, he has someone else's ticker in him.
Fucking nuts.
CT's awesome.
Nuts. And so what? This guy wants to know, why do you think there aren't more stories like that, like you and him? Like,
There's thousands of them. They don't get told.
right?
So bring CrossFit Media back.
Yeah, that is for sure. All right, brother. Thank you so much. I will schedule you in another 146 episodes.
My man.
Bam. We're no longer live.
All right.